Dear students, a warm welcome to all of you. Today, I like to talk about Sri Lankan economic and political and all the crisis, what happened and what was the story behind it. I like to say a few points before you. So, mainly Sri Lankan political crisis, 2022 is an ongoing political crisis in Sri Lanka due to the power struggle between President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the Parliament of Sri Lanka. It is fueled by the anti government protest and demonstration by the public. Due to the economic crisis in the country, the anti government sentiment across various parts of Sri Lanka has triggered a state of political instability the country has not seen since the civil war. Number of times it was repeated previously. The political crisis began on April 3rd, 22, after all 26 members of the second Gotabaya Rajapaksa cabinet, with the exception of Prime Minister Rajapaksa, resigned, and massive overnight cry. Some critics said the resignation was not valid as they did not follow the constitutional protocol, and the reason deemed it a shame, and several were re-insisted in different ministers the next day. There were even growing calls on forming a caretaker government to run the country or for snap elections. But the latter, the option was deemed unavailable and even unvisible due to paper shortage and concerns over election expenditure, which would often cost in billions. Protesters have taken to streets to show their anger and displeasure over the mismanagement of the economy by the government, and the protesters urged the president Gotabaya to immediately step down for a political change, but he refused. Main opposition, his name Samagi Jana Balavageya, had determined to abolish the 20th amendment by bringing a private members bill in order to scrap the executive powers of executive presidency. If you look at the post 2019 and 2020 elections, the Sri Lanka recorded a landslide victory with a majority during the 2020 Sri Lankan parliament elections. See, the party gained the support of the majority, Buddhist and Lankans, which was part of the election manifesto by the party during its election campaign. The government also gained majority support thanks to its handling of the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Gotabaya was elected as the seventh, executive president of Sri Lanka during the 2019 presidential election, who won with a majority of 6 point around 9 or 9 million votes. He cemented his popularity as a strong man due to his military background and also due to his role as defense secretary in ending the 26-year Sri Lankan civil war in May 2009. He also gained enormous public support when he was nominated as presidential candidate for the 2019 elections. After Sri Lanka was still reeling from the aftermath of the 2019, Easter Bombay incident, the government was formed with the former Sri Lankan president Mahinda Rajapaksa being appointed as a prime minister, because the dynasty rule has been happening in the Sri Lankan country. Even 2021 onwards also, if you see the year 21 marked the plummeting of the popularity of the Gotabaya Rajapaksa led government, which gained the widespread opposition from various stakeholders, and They lost the faith from the people. Even their ideology, their planning, everything was collapsed in the country of Sri Lankan, and they almost 10% of their income, everything, on the name of you know tourism. And one more, the drastical change which was made by them, that was about they stopped all the imports, especially on the agriculture related products. It was the major cause for this crisis. And some critics are saying that every time, whenever they wanted to participate in the elections, they never give any opportunity for other people because of they only looking for their dynasty ruling. The same family, Rajapaksa family, is ruling this country since long time. So that might be one of the reason. And Sri Lanka took to the streets calling the president and the government to step down. Many young adults, including university students, took part in the peaceful protest, calling for a majority overhaul of the system and urged lawmakers to pave way for youngsters to lead the country. Protesters also demanded the removal of the 20th Amendment to the Sri Lankan Constitution, as well as abolition of the executive presidency. Few protesters also urged all 225 MP to go home to elect new faces in the parliament. During the protest, there were growing calls to elect educated academic people to parliament, and also there were calls to reveal the net worth and assets of the politicians. Is a political instability, and the political instability grew with the resignation of 26 cabinet ministers on April month 22. The resignations were deemed null and void according to the provisions of the 20th amendment to the constitution of Sri Lanka. These all issues have sent the people and the country into the dangerous zone. Now we should learn from this Sri Lanka. It's a great lesson to the entire world, especially Telangana and AP and India. Why? Because these states also following the same strategy, like dynasty rule. The same family is ruling, the family people only getting the post, and they are ruling the country or state, whatever it is. So it should be stopped in India and Telangana also. We should not support them. And also, second thing is the most various parties borrowing from the other countries and various sources, and we are depending on only investment from other countries, other country companies, which cannot be done anymore else. We should change the way. Youngsters should come into politics, and without background, only educated people have to enter into the politics. Then only we can expect something change in this country and in this state. This is what I like to share with you today. Whatever I feel about Sri Lankan crisis, I hope so. Even 2 days before, we have seen that the worst tragedy happened over there. The protesters fired the prime minister house. We never seen before. You see the people angry, and the seriousness, and uncomfortability, lot of things. So hereafter we should be very careful, because it has given a great lesson to the people of entire world. Thank you very much, all of you. Wish you all the best.